you're here today for our weekly luncheon. Just a reminder to everyone that only members of the working press and the press club are allowed to ask questions during the Q&A session. Only members of the working press and the press club, and we ask that you follow our guidelines. I'm excited to introduce our guest speaker today. He is Murphy Paul, the Chief of the Baton Rouge Police Department. He's been in that position since January of this year. Prior to that, he retired from the Louisiana State Police after 26 years in law enforcement as the Deputy Superintendent. And during that time, he served in various positions, including the oversight of the gaming operation and criminal investigations. He's also served on a number of boards, including the Louisiana Governor's Drug Policy Board, the Association of Criminal Investigations Agency, and the High Intensity Drug Trafficking Executive Board. He's received numerous commendations and awards, and he's a graduate of the FBI National Academy and received a bachelor's degree from Loyola University. He's also a native of New Orleans. Please help me welcome Chief Murphy Paul.
Thank you. Good afternoon. All right, give me a minute here. I'll try First, I want to thank you on behalf of all the men and women who wear this uniform, who go out and protect and serve every day, because when I speak, that's who I speak for, and also the citizens that we serve. I wanted to just give you some updates on what's going on in the Baton Rouge Police Department. I've been in right at 6 months now, and I've been blessed with this opportunity to learn. And I am still learning every day. And I have to admit, the learning curve was a lot greater than I anticipated. So some of the goals that we set out to do initially, unfortunately, we haven't been able to reach them all, but we're still moving forward in that direction. The first thing I wanted to talk about, when I was blessed with this opportunity to lead, and I talked about the importance of community policing and how I believe that as we move forward as an organization, that community policing was going to be one of the our core strategies that's going to help in our strategic plan to reduce crime. And every day, across Baton Rouge, the men and women of the Baton Rouge Police Department are engaged in the community in some way. I'd like to highlight a few of those programs, from Kicking with the Badge, which we just had last year in soccer, and last week, in boxing with the badge. And we're partnering with Bprc with programs like Youth Chat this week as part of their Leo summer program. Conversations with a Cop, where we go around the city of Baton Rouge. We had our first meeting last week in Scotlandville at a coffee house, where we engaged the community to hear their concerns, and not only about how they see law enforcement, but identifying solutions from the people we serve to help us when we sit down and talk about strategies. We're going to be doing those meetings every month. We're going to be partnering with Bprc as well to help us facilitate those meetings. But I've also been blessed to go around to so many churches, meeting with so many nonprofit organizations. And I meet with organizations, and I try to see what role they play and how can we partner, because we don't have to reinvent the wheel on all of these. Sometimes it just makes sense to partner with existing programs. Programs like the great work they're doing at Metromorphosis and the Urban Congress. They're dealing with the causes related to crime. They're not dealing with the symptoms. They're dealing with causes. They have long-term goals in place that we are going to recognize later on from the hard work and service they're doing over there at Urban Congress. Partnering with our Community Ambassador Program under our City Councilman Tara Wicker, and some of the efforts that they're doing over there in our partnership with Truce. and helping us identify those small group of individuals who are responsible for the majority of the crime, but also giving them options, providing services that we believe will help that small group of people who are responsible for a majority of the crime. But one that we're going to be doing next week that I want to talk about as well is our community cop and clergy program. And what we're doing here, we're identifying our faith-based leaders who want to partner with us and become part of our community cop and clergy program, and we're going to be providing training to our faith-based leaders. But we're also asking them to help us with some of our patrols. Next week we have a meeting where we're going to be talking about some of the data that we're receiving from CADs, commonly referred to as hotspots, areas in the city where we're seeing specific types of crime. And we're also taking data from our partnership with other agencies, from informants, through other agencies that are sources, what we refer to them as, but we know that there are specific type of activity that are occurring in parts of our city. And what we're doing is we're taking that data and we're going to ask our faith-based community to help us with prayer patrols. That's right, prayer patrols. And we're going to go in those areas and we're going to ask our pastors, our faith-based leaders to be specific in their prayers to try to touch the hearts and soul of the young people in those areas. And we're going to be doing that on the 31st at the Breck facility on Jefferson Highway. We have so many partnerships that are going on right now, and I believe that we are starting to see wins, recognizing wins. And I'm going to talk about those as I conclude my conversation today. But another thing we're doing in the Baton Rouge Police Department is training. You know, we've appointed a new commander of our training services division. We appointed a new commander of our community services position. Listening to the community and some of their concerns and disappointments on some things that we've done in the past, we've appointed a victim assistance liaison to help the mothers and parents and relatives of victims of violent crime. And we are excited about that initiative. We are already seeing wins where we are now forming partnerships through the mayor's office with giving those relatives, mothers of victims, voices to help us stop this violent crime in our city. We've also announced our intention to appoint a liaison for the LGBT community, because we also understand that there are unique circumstances that they also face in our community. And we want to make sure that we hear their concerns and that we follow up with the proper response. Our fair and impartial policing training that we've put on, we are moving forward with that. One of the things that we're excited about also at the Academy is our use of video technology to modify training so that we can take training when we identify training needs within the organization, that we can put training curriculums together in a short notice and get it out to those police officers as soon as possible through the use of technology. And we just signed a contract with a software company to help us do that. That's something that's exciting. It's hard to train over 800 employees at such a short notice. And sometimes the training needs that we identify, there is a need to get that out as soon as possible. So we are very excited about some of our training programs. One that we just started on the anniversary is our critical incident stress management training. You know, when I had the opportunity last week to sit down with some of our police officers who have either been injured in the line of duty, some who were shot, and to listen to the wives and relatives of family members, police officers, who have been through those type of significant emotional events, I learned a lot. I learned a lot. And it's important that the community understand that our police officers are human. We go through the same thing that you go through. We have the same stresses that family life presents to everybody. And sometimes our officers, sometimes they take that to work with them, but they still have to be the public servants that you expect and do their jobs. So what we're doing right now in the Baton Rouge Police Department, we are creating an environment so that our police officers feel safe and comfortable with coming forward and saying, I need help. Whether it's in the form of marital counseling. Maybe they had a death in their family, they need somebody just to talk to deal with. Maybe they're having problems with one of their children. Yes, police officers go through all of that too. So we've announced that program, and we're partnering with Behind the Line, which is an organization that is made up of wives of police officers and family members of police officers, so that we can make sure that we're getting our police officers the help that they need. Sometimes they just want to be heard and know that there's support out there. People who've been through the same experiences that they're going through, and can help point them in the right direction and get the help that they need. And we are very excited about that, because we have to remember that what goes on and what's happening in our community is unique. It's very unique. We had an incident, a shooting that caused civil unrest, that caused protests all across the city. And then we had a shooting where our heroes, several of our heroes were killed. And then we followed that up with the flood. And our police officers still had to get in their homes just like everybody else. And all of those emotional things that our police officers go through, we still were out there patrolling every day, still out there responding to calls for services. That's why we're the recipient of a grant through the International Association of Chiefs of Police, and we partner with 100 Black Men, NAACP, Louisiana State University, and Southern University as part of the Collective Healing Grant, because they recognize that what's going on here in Baton Rouge is unique. And we are excited about that program. Recruiting has not only been a challenge here, but also for law enforcement agencies all across America. Right now, we have around 56 vacancies. We are excited that we are currently putting together reviewing applications for what we call a post-certified academy, where we are going to hire police officers who are already post-certified. It's a smaller version academy, 4 to 6 weeks, as opposed to the 22-week academy that we would normally go through. And once we begin that academy and have those vacancies filled, we will immediately follow up with a traditional 22-week academy. So we hope to have those vacancies filled before the end of this year. And we do have applications coming in. I'd like to direct everybody to our launch of our new recruiting website. It's GoBrpd.com. That is GEAUX, BRPD.com. Please, if you know anybody with their heart to serve, any person who would love to be a Baton Rouge police officer, please direct them to our website. We would love to see them in uniform. Technology. You know, we recognize that we work in an ever-changing environment, and it is important that we embrace technology and use technology to help with our investigative efforts. Through the help of our district attorney, Mr. Hill Moore, and some of the business community who are raising funds to help us with purchasing equipment. We are using technology to make sure that we are accountable to the people that we serve. Through our website, we launched an online complaint system, so you can go online and file a complaint when you believe one of our police officers are not acting in a professional way, or if you feel that your rights were violated, or whatever that issue is. You can go online and file a complaint, and every complaint is forwarded to our internal affairs section. We welcome complaints. Now, let me tell you why we welcome complaints. The reason we welcome complaints is because we recognize that most complaints that we receive from the public this is the outcome of most of those complaints. In many cases, we're going to be able to articulate to you that we had a legal right to do what we did. And we can clear complaints up that way. And in some cases, complaints are going to be addressed through coaching, mentoring, and training. And in some cases, discipline. But if you look at the amount of complaints that we have come in, discipline is the least solution to the complaint. That's why we welcome complaints. That's why when you go to our website and you click on the complaint, right above it is something called commendation, where you can also tell us when you see our police officers doing something good. And I tell you, the commendation, the praises that we get from the community far, far outweigh the few complaints that we get in from the community. So that is something we're excited about, and we love to relay those messages from the community to the men and women who wear this uniform, because they need to hear that. And the reason they need to hear it is because we don't hear it enough. See, the good work we do every day, it doesn't make headlines. It doesn't trend on social media. It's only the times when our officers make a mistake. So we are excited about our online complaints. We also are looking at new software that's going to help us monitor complaints. It's going to help us with use of force data, real time, as well as early warning systems, so we can identify those training needs early on, so we can give those police officers the tools they need to do their jobs. We will be presenting a proposal in the near future to the City Council to help us with software that's going to help us with our investigative efforts, our detectives, and we are in the reviewing stages right now of that. Right now, in the police department, we have all of these silos, all of these systems that don't talk to each other, and it requires manual labor to do that. So we're trying to be efficient with the manpower we have, and we believe this technology is going to help us do that. Because when we do that, we can have more police officers on the streets and specialized sections to make sure that we're being more proactive when it comes to reducing violent crime. Body cameras. You know, our mayor got out front and got us our body cameras at the right time. And I tell you, that is the game changer in law enforcement. That is one of the game changers in law enforcement today. And I say this, our body cameras catch police officers doing the right thing every day. They catch them doing the right thing every day. And we are able to clear up a lot of complaints just by review of the body cameras. One of the concerns we had from some in the community, where we've had incidents where our police officers didn't have the body camera on at the time the incident occurred. So it's important to understand, to communicate or educate the public on how that works with the body camera. When a police officer gets out the car to engage, he has what's called a body camera, but he has to press that button twice. And sometimes in an emergency situation, he doesn't press it hard enough, right? But it does create an audit trail where we can see that he attempted to turn the body camera on. But because that was a concern, and it's also something that our police officers have to think about every time they engage, there's two things we did. We actually have in-car cameras now. We probably have 100 more to go in all the cameras, in all the cars, and they automatically come on when lights are engaged. But we even taken it one step further. And I met with Axon last week. And what we're doing right now is we've asked Axon to give us two holsters. And we're going to wear test those holsters. And what those holsters do is anytime we call break and let, that means when a police officer's gun comes out of his holster, then it would automatically start his body camera. That way police officers don't have to think about it, and that's one less a manual thing that he or she has to do while he's out there doing his job. So we're going to be wear testing that, and if that technology is where it's supposed to be and it passes our assessment, then we're going to be moving forward with that. We're in the review stages of that. So we are moving forward with all kind of technology in the Baton Rouge Police Department. One is our real crime, crime center that we're going to be partnering with local law enforcement agencies in the parish, and we're putting together a proposal to try to get support from that, for that initiative. And I think it's something that we're going to, I think everybody within the parish will get behind and support. But the last topic I want to talk about before we go to questions is enforcement. When I was blessed with this opportunity, I talked about the need to focus on a small group of individuals that's responsible for a majority of the crime. And that's what we've been doing. But before I get to the violent crime, I want to talk about the concerns of some in the business community with the homelessness issue. We received a lot of complaints, not only from the business community, but those who come to our city to visit us, who are walking downtown, who are eating in our restaurants downtown. And we put together a group of special assigned personnel to help us with this homeless issue, because we recognize that one of the issues that we're dealing with our homeless community is mental illness. Many of them suffer from mental illnesses. That's why it was important for us to make sure that we put the appropriate personnel who have the right skills to help us attack this problem. But when it comes to violent crime, shootings, murders, in the city of Baton Rouge, we have an issue with young black men. Last year, 85% of our victims were African-American males, and 83% of the suspects that we believe committed those crimes were African-American males. That's why since day one, we've been doing things like going to barbershops where we know young black men get their hair cut and had conversations, no cameras, no media, no cell phones. Let's have honest dialogue about our responsibility as a community to help us address this crime problem. That's why we've asked parents, when we speak to parents, we say, search your kids' room, search your kids' phone, raise the mattress up. Before your child leaves, go search the car. Look in the glove compartment box. Raise the spare tire up. And if you find a gun, call us, we'll come get it, no questions asked. There are too many guns on the streets in Baton Rouge. Too many. That's why we've been engaging that small group of individuals that we believe are committing a crime. And we're doing it a little different. With help with troops, with our streets crime unit, with the sheriff's office team. We are working together better than ever before when it comes to targeting that small group of individuals. And yes, the word is getting out. Not only is the word getting out, I'm happy to share some numbers with you. Because we know that as we move forward as a professional organization and we talk about accountability and all of those things we're doing to say, you know what, we want to be held accountable. And we are becoming a more professional agency. That's why you will hear me continue to talk about as we progress, that the community should do their part and pay our police officers the money that their positions deserve. This is the capital city, and we should be paid as such. Because right now what's going on in the city of Baton Rouge, there was a quote on the streets, you probably heard of it before. It was called Stop Snitching. Have any of you ever heard of that before? Well, right now, it's not Stop Snitching in the city of Baton Rouge. It's Stop Snitching, just tell the truth. Because the community is sick and tired of the violence that's going on in the community. They're calling Crime Stoppers 300 to 400 calls a month. That's what they're doing in the city of Baton Rouge. They're picking up the phone and they're calling our police officers. They're meeting with detectives on the scene and giving them information because they're sick and tired of the crime that's happening in this city. I was on a crime scene and I heard a young lady talk about a vehicle description that was leaving, and I said, shh, keep it down a little bit. She said, I don't care. She said, I don't care who hears me because I'm sick and tired of the crime that's happening in the community. I'm sick of the murders. And then someone else echoed. This is what's going on in the city of Baton Rouge. And if you don't believe that the community is doing their part, I got some numbers for you. When I took over this job in January 1st, 2018, we were at around 47–48% clearance rate for the homicides in 2017, and everybody knew last year was a record number. And we even began this year, a lot of concern, hoping and praying that we won't have the numbers that we had last year. Well, in the past 3 months, May, June, and July, we have over 71% clearance rate for homicides. That's 71%. The national average is 60%. Throughout the year, we're already over 60% this year, and we solved 6 homicides this year, or we made arrests in 6 homicides this year from last year that actually raised last year levels up to right around 58–59%. So what does that mean? That means our police officers are out there working hard with minimum staffing levels, getting the job done with the help from the community to get that 70%, more than 70% over the past 3 months. Violent crime is going down. And we're going to continue to pray and continue to work hard and do our part. But I am excited about what's going on in the city of Baton Rouge. And I hope that this help from the community continues to be contagious, and that the community understands that we know we cannot do this without them. That's why we want to say to the men and women, the people, the children, everybody in the city of Baton Rouge, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts, we mean it. Thank you for doing your part. Now I'll take questions.
He raised this just before I did. Oh, okay. Chief Paul, I believe you, in fact, I'm fairly certain you were one of the finalists for the LSP Colonel position. As I'm sure you're aware, this most recent week there's been an appeal of disciplinary infractions handed down by Colonel Reeves on the part of the 3 troopers pertaining to the Las Vegas trip. Under a hypothetical, had you gotten that position, do you agree with, now you were probably in the inner circle as much to know probably more than Colonel Reeves did of what all transpired. Do you concur with his decision, or do you think the State Police Commission should rule favorably on their appeals?
No, I agree with the Colonel. I'm sorry.
So the question is regarding the Louisiana State Police investigation. Does he agree with the findings?
With Colonel Reeves' decision, right now it's been appealed by the 3 troopers. The appeal hearing was held last week. It was a 4-day appeal. They're going to render their decision in August. I'm just asking, does he concur with Colonel Reeves, or would he side with the troopers who are appealing?
Okay. Does he agree with Colonel Reeves' decision? Or
yeah.
Side?
First, I don't know all the facts of that investigation. I've never read that report, but here's what I do know. I do know that Colonel Reeves is a man of integrity. He's a smart man, and I've had the pleasure of learning from him in the short time I was there when he was superintendent, and I support Colonel Reeves in whatever decision that he makes 100%.
Okay, thank you.
Chief, first of all, congratulations on your successes. And you talked about recruiting and the pay of officers. Where are y'all at on the pay study, and have y'all identified any revenue sources to address any shortages in pay?
The question is regarding pay, officers' pay. Where are they, and have they identified revenue to pay for it?
We met last week with the consultant that's doing the study. So we haven't had that final report. It should be due throughout the end of July, early August, and we'll be sitting down before that final report is out. There's some things that I need to do with some elected official leaders to make sure that we are all on the same page as we move forward. But we have not identified a revenue source yet at this time. There's some in-house things that we have to do first that some have explained to us that they are concerned about. But when we get that final report, then we're going to move forward. We don't know what the numbers are going to be yet. I know in my mind, in my heart, what I want the numbers to be. I want us to be the highest paid, and I mean that. You know, I got an opportunity, I get the opportunity every day to go around and listen to and watch and read the work that the men and women of the police department do here every day, and I put them up against any police department. And we do a lot in the Baton Rouge Police Department. There's some law enforcement agencies, not only here in this capital area, but all over the state that they don't have, that they don't deal with on a daily basis, the challenges. So the answer to your question is we don't have a source yet. But once I get those final numbers and I see what they are, so we're going to move forward.
You mentioned the challenges of mental illness. Can you address I think it is called the Bridge Center proposal in the fall for dealing with converting people from the jail?
The question is about mental illness in the Bridge Center.
I am not intimately, I don't know that particularly, if I have read on it specifically, but I do know that jail is not the place those who are suffering from mental illness should be. That is not as a sickness and illness, it should be treated as such. But we will continue to work with them. I know there are several initiatives throughout the capital area, human services that we're also looking at and partnering with as we move forward. And there's also some grants that we are partnering with to address the response to calls for services in those who are suffering from some type of mental illness.
How serious is the drug problem in Baton Rouge? And can you say something quantitatively rather than just arbitrary? How serious is that problem?
How serious is the drug problem in Baton Rouge?
Well, we just met over there with the Human Services, and there is a study that's going to be coming out soon. It's bad. But I really think that when it comes to drugs, we lost the war on drugs. We just have to be honest with that. We lost the war on drugs. But as we move forward, we have to really look at what caused it, right? Like what role did we play? You know, it's not common to hear law enforcement leaders like myself, when we talk about drugs, to say, you know, we got it wrong. You know, look, I worked undercover. My background is narcotics. And I was involved in cases where we put a lot of men in jail. And back when we look at our response to the crack cocaine epidemic, we had a zero tolerance approach to drugs. But let me tell you the unintended consequences. We locked up so many young men that we forgot, or we didn't think about when we locked them up, that we left their mothers and grandparents to teach them how to be men. And we wonder how we got in this situation. That's why when we talk about truth and reconciliation is important. It's okay to say we could have done a better job. You know, hindsight, looking back, our approach to the crack cocaine epidemic could have been different. Because the reality is we have not quite rebounded from that. That's why we see so many issues with some of the young black males that we deal with. Now, when we take the current threat today, which is an opioid epidemic, our response to the opioid epidemic is different. And let me make sure I'm clear. It is the correct response. The opioid epidemic is the correct response. It should be treated. It's a sickness. And that's how we're treating it as such. But I really think we gotta think outside the box. This 3 degrees of separation when it comes to drugs, that no longer exists. There's not a person in this room that doesn't know somebody, a or have a loved one who knows somebody, or who has a co-worker or somebody who is not affected by this opioid epidemic that's going on in America. And it's not unique to that group at all, sir. So we really have to think about our approach. And I was excited to be at the Capitol Area Human Services on Government Street the other day, where we were sitting down and we were talking about solutions to this problem. And they're non-traditional. I tell you, some people are not going to like some of the recommendations because they're outside the box. They're different. But we really need to think about how we're going to address this drug problem, because locking everybody up is not the answer. Locking an addict up, a person who has a sickness, is not the answer when it comes to long-term solutions.
Chief, what technology or software are you using to organize and store the data from your car and your body?
What technology is being used to store data from body cams?
It's called evidence.com is the name of the software that we use, and it's part of the contract with Axon, and we're able to store that all of the body camera footage on there, and it also allows us to download other evidence. We get so many, I don't understand the word, so much storage space, but it's evidence.com.
In your recruiting efforts, excuse me, are we down so many officers? You have a lot of flexibility on the numbers. Where do we stand? And what is the starting salary now if someone were to join the force as a newcomer?
Recruiting efforts, how much are they down, and what's the starting salary?
56 or 57 officers down right now. We're gonna fill those numbers. We do have retirements coming in. You know, we have a officers who are retirement, and our starting numbers are around $32,000 a year is what the income these officers making right now. I'm waiting on a study. The question was, how does that compare to the national averages? We are below in a lot of areas, even in the capital area. Gonzales Police Department, Bprc Sheriff's Office, Louisiana State Police all make more. Ascension Sheriff's Office all make more than a Baton Rouge police officer. That's why we have to get those numbers up. But for agencies our size, who are dealing with some of the same issues that we're dealing with, like the New Orleans Police Department, they're in the 50s. But agencies our size, we are far, far below, probably around 20%. If we look at probably in the capital area, we're probably 20% below. When we look at all of those agencies, those numbers that just come in off my head, but the study that's going to be coming out by the consultant should have more accurate numbers.
You mentioned several times, Chief, that most of the crime is being caused by a small group of individuals. Is there anything they have in common besides gun ownership or gun possession?
The question was, what do most of the crimes, as the chief said, are caused by a small percentage of people. What do they have in common besides gun ownership?
Crime is a socioeconomic issue. That's a fact. It's a socioeconomic issue. I think what I would probably say that comes to my mind and my heart when you're asking me what do I see in common, I think if we look at probably 50% of the young black males who don't finish high school, if I go to Angola State Penitentiary, the more than almost, because we just had a reduction, we're no longer the most or an incarcerated state in the country, thanks to the efforts of our governor. But if we look at the almost 6,000 inmates that's in Angola State Penitentiary, most of them who look like me, African American males, when we start looking at all of the data, I give you education, or the lack of education. When we we talk about disinvested communities and we start talking about solutions, I give you education. When we talk about the dropout rate of young men and their probability of committing a crime, I would give you a lack of education. The key is education, education, education. Not just formal education. Everybody isn't made to go to college, but you know, I live right here, not too far from here, and I talked to one of my neighbors who owns an air conditioning company and said he can't find anybody certified. He has a problem with getting air conditioning mechanics. He has a problem getting plumbers. So I think education is the key in the long-term solution.
Chief, do you have any approaches planned for businesses and churches to reach out to these young blacks so that they can stay out of trouble?
Does the chief have any programs for churches and businesses to reach out to African American males so they can stay out of trouble?
You know, there are churches that are doing it every day. There are so many programs in the 6 months that I've been here. They're doing it. There are churches doing it. There's organizations like 100 Black Men that are mentoring young men in the community. NAACP has initiatives. Urban Congress, I talked about it earlier. And I can go on and on about the nonprofits and faith-based organizations that are doing work in the community. And I believe that what's going on in the city right now isn't unique to Baton Rouge. It's happening all across America. But education is one of the solutions.
Thank you, Chief.
56 vacancies that you're trying to fill by the end of the year, but currently right now, how does having all these vacancies, is the department able to run efficiently, or does this cause problems?
Well, police officers are working a little harder. So obviously there's an issue. We have to prioritize in some many situations. There's some overtime dollars. We have to make sure we have minimum staffing levels at the district level. So when we don't have those numbers, police officers have to come in on their days off. So that is a challenge. So once we get those numbers up, obviously our goal is that police officers don't have to work as often, and then they can be rested up so they can spend that time with their family.
And real quick for clarification, those 56 vacancies, are these all police officers?
Those are just police vacancies that I mentioned.
So are there any more vacancies?
Yeah, we have around 885 total positions. I'm not sure the exact number of vacancies I have for non-police positions, but those numbers I think I just looked at.
All right, for us, my focus is on the policing efforts that you all have put in place. Really great programs for the youth, like the soccer with the BRPD, the boxing with the BRPD. Tell me, what are the next programs, or what other programs you all are going to be putting into place to help target that youth to get started?
Yeah, and we have so many programs. You know, I talked about our partnership with BRC, our partnership with Truce, our partnership with other nonprofits. So there's events going every day. I get a list every Monday from our community services division on different programs that we're involved in. So there are a lot. One that we're excited about is on the 31st, we're going to be having our Cops and Clergy Prayer Patrol introduction, where we're going to be talking to the faith-based community about coming out and helping us in specific areas to pray, to talk to the youth, to try to change the hearts and soul of the young men that we believe are out there involved in some of this crime.
Definitely. So they will literally be going out in the streets, and it is target. So it'll be target areas, and they'll go out on the streets. Is there certain times that they'll be doing?
We're going to be asking them certain dates. Okay. That is correct, sir. We're going to be sharing that data with them.
And when will you all be able to see how effective these programs? Do y'all do like some type of survey or some type of status report to see how effective these programs have been or efforts have been?
Well, we just started that.
Right.
But we are seeing wins right now. I think you heard me talk about those numbers right now. The 71% clearance rate on homicides because of the great work that our detectives are doing in concert with the community. Because we cannot do it without the community, and that's why we just want to say thank you, Baton Rouge. Thank you to the community for doing your part, because they are calling, because they're sick and tired of the crime that's happening in the community, and we appreciate it, and we just hope that we continue with this partnership with the community throughout the rest of this year.
What can you tell us about some of the new liaisons appointed to the police department?
Well, we only have one liaison, and that's the victim assistance coordinator. And I've been getting positive feedback from the community about that position. You know, when you lose a child, I don't know if that's something that you've ever experienced. And having someone in place to help keep the family informed on our investigative efforts, as well as asking them to call us when they receive information. Because sometimes the family get information that we don't know about. And having that one point of contact that can get information to our police officers in a timely manner, it really helps.
What are some of your opinions about the body cameras?
I like the body cameras. Body cameras work. I think you heard me say our body cameras catch police officers doing the right thing every day. And so I support body cameras. I think they're a good tool for law enforcement.
Real quick, he said, oh, you have one more?
Just information.
One more question.
Oh, quick question. You were talking about the crack cocaine epidemic and then young black men and how some of the fallout from that we're still dealing with that today. Could you kind of expand on what you were saying about that?
Well, it's just a zero tolerance approach to law enforcement, to the crack cocaine epidemic in comparison to our response to the opioid epidemic. What I am saying is we have it right this time, that it is not a zero tolerance arrest everybody approach, because it is a sickness, it is an illness, and treatment is the option, and it should always be one of the first options when you're dealing with someone who is suffering from an addiction. And we have the response right now when it comes to this opioid epidemic.
All right, thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.